Hey guys, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks. This is going to be a patch 9.7 preview video of the Tier 9 French medium tank, the AMX 30 Premier prototype, aka the AMX 31 prototype, is going to come in after the AMX 1390. It's going to cost 197,300 experience to unlock. So I thoroughly recommend, if you're an AMX 1390 driver, that you very quickly uncheck that accelerated crew training and get playing some games in it. And that's because the AMX 30 prototype is an absolute beast at Tier 9. And while of course, as this is a test server, everything is subject to change, I think this is going to be one of the strongest Tier 9 medium tanks in the game come patch 9.7. I'm going to quickly run down all of the stats of this tank, how it compares to other vehicles, and then show you some gameplay. So the AMX 30 prototype has got 1,650 hit points, which is the joint lowest of all of the Tier 9 medium tanks, along with the WZ-120 and the T-54. And of course, the Leopard prototype, which is a very similar performing vehicle to the AMX 30 prototype. So the tank weighs just shy of 33 tons and it has a great horsepower on its engine of 720. The AMX 30 prototype is the lightest of any of the Tier 9 medium tanks, and yet it still gets a very sizable engine, and this means that the AMX 30 prototype has the second highest horsepower to ton ratio of any of the Tier 9 mediums, only being surpassed, as we can see here, by the Lorraine. But as we all know, the Lorraine with an autoloader kind of plays a little differently. And so this should allow you to race around the battlefield at great speed, getting where you need to go and taking on your enemies as you see fit. And this is amplified by the fact that the AMX 30 prototype is the fastest of the Tier 9 medium tanks, 65 km/h top speed limit, which equals the current fastest, the Leopard prototype. So it'd be understandable if maybe the AMX 30 prototype had the same armor profile as the recently added AMX CDC, i.e. no armor at all, but that's just not the case. This tank has got 80mm of frontal armor, both on its turret and on its hull, and that's about the strength, because once you get to the side, it is 40 on the turret and 30 on the hull, and 30 on the back of the hull and turret. The front of the armor is very slanted, as we can see here, which accentuates the 80mm of armor on the front. It's very well angled, so that makes it more effective. However, watch out for this Commander's cupola on top of the tank. It is very prominent and shootable from all angles. That means that when you're doing ridge work on this vehicle, you have to be very careful indeed. And other tanks that do not have such prominent cupolas are going to be able to hit you, and you won't be able to get them. The AMX 30 prototype also gets a very competitive 105mm gun, which unfortunately is novel on this tank, and that means that you have got quite a lot of training to do on this vehicle before it's elite. This gun costs 55,000 credits, and you will have to research it, as currently it's not in the game on any tank. But thankfully, you get to use the gun before you have to unlock the second turret, which costs an additional 25,000 experience. But without this turret, the gun performance is much worse, so you want to really get that turret as quickly as you can. This gun has an excellent rate of fire of 6.06, considering its remarkable penetration of 260, very good accuracy of 0.33, and pretty good aim time of 2.3 seconds. And so this rate of fire gives the AMX 30 prototype a very nice damage per minute, very comparable to the top of the list between the Tier 9 medium tanks. It's only outperformed by the Soviet medium tanks, but they have 200mm of penetration and not 260. Likewise, it's outperformed by the 105mm on the M46 and the E50, but those tanks have 218 and I believe 220mm of penetration, and not the 260 that the AMX 30 prototype has. In fact, the only other tanks which have comparable penetration are the Leopard prototype, the Centurion 7-1, the Type 61, and the WZ-120. And we see that the DPM of the tank is higher than all of those other vehicles, albeit only very slightly higher than the Type 61. And with 0.33 accuracy, it is more accurate than all the other vehicles, apart from the Leopard prototype and the Centurion 7-1, which have got 0.32 accuracy, and the E50, which has an incredible 0.3. And so really, the AMX 30 prototype doesn't have any blaring weaknesses. And 390 meters view range, which if you combine with coated optics will easily allow it to get up to that magical 445 meters maximum spotting distance. So that's quite enough theory crafting. Let's take a look to see how this machine performs in some gameplay. And so here we go, we are playing on South Coast, and check out how fast the AMX 30 prototype is. 74 kilometers downslope. We're able to race into position pretty much as fast as the best light tanks can in this vehicle. Now we're along a flat. Our speed still stays between 60 and 65 kilometers an hour. And so that means that you can use this tank to go into forward, aggressive locations faster than pretty much all of your opposition will. And when you get there, you've got a gun to dish out the punishment, but don't expect your armor to be able to weather a storm. So this is the 9.7 test server, and I'm going to play it rather aggressively. Our first shell fails to go through the side of the very thickly armored German heavy tank, the Mouse. We found an M48 pattern above us. We're going to try and light him up for our allies. Hopefully they're going to shoot at him. And I'm going to look for my opportunities to shoot him as well. Artillery hits him for 700 damage. You can't stay there. Just waiting for our moment. Put one into him. 345 damage is a low roll for this vehicle. But I'm lighting up a lot of our opponents here. And with 3 artillery on my team, hopefully we can get them shooting. This M48 pattern is being very aggressive indeed. Just wondering how long it'll be till our artillery puts one into him. But thankfully, we dodge his shell. And this is just the state of the test server. Yep, you're doing it wrong, M48, you're doing it wrong. I was laughing my backside off when that happened during the live stream. So, we're playing it very aggressively up here. Let's see if we can put some shots into this Waffenträger RP100. In the meantime, we've got an artillery shootout. No, we don't. Put one quickly into his turret, and then we can pull back. See if we can sneak one in past the C100 again. Come on, come on, go forwards, forwards, forwards. Right into the top. The aim time on this tank is lovely. You barely have to aim before you put shots in. 2.3 seconds is excellent. And the gun depression allows you to sneak shots in. I believe this is 10 degrees of gun depression on this tank, which is pretty much a standard on most of the tier 9 medium tanks. And look what the engine power allows us to do in combination with the gun depression. We can be an absolute mountain goat and sneak shots in on our enemies. We put one into the Mouse, taking his tracks off and stopping him. Dead still. Now we can go through his lower plate. We reload a heat round in case we need to shoot him in the turret. Look for the T92. Not going to happen. And I'm not even firing. I kind of fired in frustration there. Mouse armor is amazing even with heat rounds. Check out how the spaced armor on the side of the Mouse absorbed that heat round there. I don't really want to mess around with the T92. My reload might be good, but it's not that good. Finally, we managed to take him out. Looking for the T92, he's not there, so instead we're going to engage this IS-7. Aiming up into his lower plate, he has no chance. T92 gets taken out, the IS-7 fires, and thanks to the great rate of fire on this tank, we can finish him off. And just check out how fast this vehicle is to accelerate. Absolutely amazing speed on this thing. And we've already picked up 5 kills this game. Put another shot into the back of that tank. This tank really does have it all. And so from here on, we're unable to finish off the Object 261. Hopefully this replay showed the overall awesome performance of the AMX 30 prototype, and it's looking like a tank. I'm gonna love one of the most competitive vehicles at tier 9. And also, this tank doesn't look half bad. And that's coming from a British man talking about a French tank. I really like this vehicle. So this game was the Mastery Badge in the AMX 30 prototype. We got 2,127 experience and made 68,000 credits. Over 4,000 damage done, a lot of that to tier 10 vehicles, 5 kills, 1,418 base, a fairly standard game for this tank. Because of our forward position, we also picked up 1,474 assistance damage. Both hits that we received penetrated our tank, and I wouldn't expect anything else from the 80mm of armor that this vehicle has. Really, that armor is only going to be useful against the lowest of tier tanks that this vehicle can meet. Some scout tanks, and maybe if the enemies just don't aim very well and you can pull off a bounce with a very well-angled part of your front. But when you've got this kind of mobility, who needs armor, hey? So now we're playing on fjords. Let's put the AMX 30 prototype to some more use. T49, wrong place, wrong time. We seem to be able to overmatch his armor there. Very bad shot by me, but it still went in either way. We put one into the T54 lightweight. And I reloaded just in time to finish him off. We get hit hard by the enemy artillery, but put our gunner back into action so we can still be accurate with our aim at our opponents. The IS-6 has got very thick armor. But when you've got 260mm of penetration, it's not too bad. The artillery is trying to run away from us. Oh my word, I must have shot into a rock there through the trees. And a 59-16 finishes him off. We spot an ISU 152. Proceed to quickly get into position and put our shot into his back. So there are two opposing numbers, AMX 30 prototypes. He's down. Just love the aim time on this tank. And we're reloaded quickly to finish the next one off as well. And just check out how fast this vehicle can get places that it needs to get to. I think this is going to be one of the best tanks purely for cleaning up the enemy team. We shoot at the same time, but thankfully, due to my excellent crew and probably also the coffee, we managed to put in the final shot into him. And I should hasten to add that if you're wanting to play one of these tanks immediately upon release, it is a very good idea if you start training up a medium tank crew, either in your bat chat. And if you've got a CDC, you can already be training up a French loader for this vehicle. I've selected 4 French girls that will be going into this tank, as I believe it's going to be one of the most fun things to play at tier 9. The Super Pershing might have thick armor. 260mm just makes it so easy at tier 9. So from here, we're in an awkward situation where we know there's an AMX 30 to the southeast. We want to pick him off, but we don't want to get hit ourselves as we've been reduced to a fraction of our remaining health. And just check out the new splat indicator there. There are new penetration markers in patch 9.7. That was probably from the artillery shell that hit my tank. Oh, we miss our shot, and so does he. Oh! Gun elevation problems. But thankfully, we managed to get our gun in check and pick up our 7th kill of the game. So from here on, nothing exciting happens. My team managed to hound down the ST1 without my help. but hopefully this additional gameplay gave you an extra taste of what this tank will be good for. I liken this tank to the SDB-1 at tier 10. It has better armor than the Leopard prototype, the same speed, and a better rate of fire, as well as we highlighted, a better horsepower to ton ratio. Really, the AMX 30 prototype, if the stats remain unchanged, is going to be very, very, very competitive at tier 9. And I really don't see a reason to be playing the Leopard prototype if this machine goes into the game as it is. And so it's definitely one to watch out for on the battlefield coming up in patch 9.7. And if you haven't already, get going in your AMX 1390. You will not regret it, especially if you love medium tanks that are fast with excellent gun depression. Basically all round main battle tanks. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like down below and let me know in the comments what you think about the AMX 30 prototype. Have I missed any of its weaknesses? What do you think is going to be the problem of this tank, and why do you think that it's just such a great all-rounder? If I've missed anything, please do let me know, and let me know what your initial impressions are on this tank, whether you've been playing it on the test server yourself or if you're seeing it in this video for the first time. Has it sparked your interest in the tank? Are you going to start grinding your way through the 1390? Or do you think it's unremarkable and you'll stick with your other medium tanks? Anyway guys, as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.